Y'all with some heat and through a live stream on these here social media streets. I'm really honored if you're able to join me tonight live. If not, you can always catch the replay. So welcome to my live stream. This is where creatives, visionaries, innovators, coaches, and entrepreneurs, those of you I call authentically distinct folks, people like you and me, we come together and we focus on our authentic selves. That's how we get to greater joy and impact for ourselves, but not just ourselves, also for those we touch with our unique gifts, talents, and abilities. And today we're going to be talking about how you can handle your fears in life and love. Specifically, how you can get into an actionable safe space when you do experience these fears in life and love. So we're going to be talking about that today. Let's get started with my theme music and then we'll get into this. Yeah, so I'm super excited to be having this conversation with y'all. This is all about how to handle your fears in life and love. Let me give y'all the visuals so that y'all will be able to look these up on your own because I do want y'all to be able to learn from this experience. We're going to be talking about how you can get into an actionable safe space when you experience fear in your life and love. And since I am your guide to power, agency, and freedom tonight, let me introduce myself. I am Ebony L. Green of Authentic Distinction. That's where I help authentically distinct and neurodistinct folks develop deeper connections and impact in their life, their career, and their business without compromising their authenticity, their desires, and their values. Most visionaries are confused in their greatness, and this is why they struggle to get their big ideas and their big visions out of their heads and out of their hearts and into the real world. So I teach them how to create an actionable safe space and guide them to get clear, confident, and resilient in their authentic ingenuity, innovation, and impact so that they can have more creativity, consistency, and cash. That's what I'm here for. I am unapologetically known as the Ratchet Sage because I'm not playing with your greatness, and I refuse to see you ashy in these streets. Working with me, you will know what makes you a unique, rare solution. That's what I call you. And you will know how to leverage that distinction to get your vision out of your head and into the real world so that you can stand out, shine, and slay as only you can. That's what the Ratchet Sage is all about, and that's what we do over here at Authentic Distinction. And just to get that all out of the way, because we want to get into this conversation, I know you've heard it all before. There is no space for mishandled fear in life and love. But nobody's out here telling you and breaking down the how of it. Like, how do you get rid of these mishandled fears? How do you handle your fear? If you're not supposed to have mishandled fear in life and love, how do you get to a point where you can handle your fear? Well, I'm going to be the person that's going to break it down for you. This is part 2 of my Managing Fear series. Last week on Wednesday, we talked about how you can develop your own fear framework. What does it look like to develop a framework to deal with fear, no matter when it shows up in your life or how heavy and deep it is and how much it's impacting you? I wanted you to be able to have an authentic framework for you to handle your fear. And so we talked about that last week, but part of my authentic framework and how I deal with fear is for me to focus on curiosity and getting curious. And so I'm going to be sharing with y'all today how you can leverage curiosity in order to deal with your life and love fears. And I'm going to show you that by modeling how I do it. I'm going to be a demonstration and use myself tonight. So y'all get to get a little piece of the Ratchet Sage as well. But this is part 2 of 3 of my Managing Fear series. And we're going to be talking about life and love fears tonight. So when you think about how fear is wreaking havoc in your life and your love, I want you to think about how you might be able to leverage curiosity to manage right now, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I want you to think about what the power of using curiosity might be. What I have come to learn when I think about fear and the impact it has on my life is that it really disrupts my sense of authentic agency. I have a hard time having authentic agency, which impacts my being and my doing. My being, it's all about myself and who I am and how I identify, and not having clarity, confidence, and resilience in that. And so that is inauthentic. And then focusing on not having agency in my doing, it really affects my impact and how I'm able to move and get things done in this world. And that's not something I want to be inauthentic as well, because then I show up with a lack of integrity in this world. Don't want that. So when I think about how fear impacts my life, it really disrupts my sense of agency. And so when I'm trying to think about how I can get it back on track, I'm trying to figure out how do I get back to that authentic agency so that my being is authentic and my doing, it's full of integrity. So I think about what are these 3 steps to overcoming life fears. And I think these 3 steps work for anyone, regardless of what your fear framework is, like we talked about last week, because your fear framework might not be based on curiosity like mine is. But in the event that yours is or is not, I'm going to be modeling for y'all tonight how you can leverage curiosity. But these 3 steps to overcoming life fears work for anyone. You first want to focus on one fear at a time. And the second thing you want to do is diagnose the effects of that fear that you're focusing on. And then you want to choose to iterate from learning. So when you really think about this, I want to model for you how you can use curiosity to complete these 3 steps to overcoming life fears. I want you to be able to create an actionable, safe space so that you can harness authentic agency in your being as well as in your doing when you're experiencing life fears. So if these are the 3 steps to overcoming life fears and you're trying to focus on one fear at a time and you want to leverage curiosity, well, the first thing you could do is just think about these questions. How is this affecting your being? And how is this fear affecting your doing? Because when you can get clear on the effect that this fear is having on who you are, and you can get clear on the effect that this fear is having on what you're doing right now, right? Then you can have a sense on which fear you need to focus on right now, and you can have a sense of what's really going on. And to dive deeper into it, you can then begin to diagnose the effects of that fear. When did this start happening? I mean, that's one of the first questions I always try to ask myself when I'm going through a curiosity stint when I'm afraid. When did I start feeling this fear? What was going on at the time? So I can get to the source of the fear, because usually what's damaging about the whole situation is not necessarily having the fear. Again, we talked about this last week. Fear is naturally occurring. What is really damaging is how we respond to the fear and the effects that that fear has on us. And so when we are not understanding the source of the fear, we can't really do anything about the effects. We can't really make any change. So really having a sense of when did all of this start happening so that you can think about what was going on at the time, so that you can really understand what the source of the fear is, whatever that fear is that you chose to focus on. That's going to help you understand what all of this is telling you about yourself. What is this fear trying to tell you, like we talked about last week? And then you can get to a point where you can choose to iterate from learning, that 3rd step. You can start asking yourself things like, how can I apply what I've learned? And now that I've applied what I've learned, what do I now know? Because there's a difference between learning something and knowing something. We talked about that last week. But when you get to a point where you can figure out what you now know after all of these things you've learned from what you've gone through, what you might be afraid of, or what you've processed and trying to get to a place where you understand and have clarity of what is affecting my being, what is affecting my doing, when all of this started happening and what was going on. When you get clarity and all of that, you're going to be learning a lot of things as things are coming up and bubbling up for you, and you're going to start getting clarity on things. When you start to apply what you've learned, that's going to allow you to say, I now know these things. And when you get to a place where you know, you can ask yourself, what do you want to change? And this is where you can start to manage those life fears. Instead of them just wreaking havoc on your agency, and so you're not really sure how to be who you want to be, or you're not really sure how to do what you really want to do. Instead, you have the ability to really process and go, what is this fear actually doing to me? What's the source of it? And what do I want to change so that I don't have to deal with this source anymore? It really allows you to handle the fear. It showed up, it told you something. Now you're able to do something about it instead of it just being there and you trying to get through it. I'm not sure that that is the best way to harness your power as an authentically distinct person or a neurodistinct person. Really, what you're trying to do is to get to an actionable, safe space where, regardless of what resources I have available to me and what I got going on, I'm able to move forward towards what I want out of life. In this case, life. And we're going to talk about love in just a little bit. But that's really what this is about. And so this is how I use and leverage curiosity to ask myself questions, right, that get me through these 3 steps. And I can do this fairly quickly because I've been doing it for a very long time. And it might take you a little bit longer as you're going through this and learning how to practice this. But this model and this framework really works for you to really break down what is this life fear and what is it doing to me and what can I do about it, right? And that is how you stay in an actionable, safe space with regard to your life fears. Now, when we're talking about love fears, we're talking about something a little bit different, because while life and fear affects your life in ways that disrupts your authentic agency, fear affects your love in ways that disrupts your authentic connection. And I want you to understand that this connection can be intrapersonal, meaning this is about your love and connection with yourself. And it can also disrupt your interpersonal connection, which is about your love and connections with others. A lot of people misunderstand the difference between the intrapersonal and the interpersonal. So let me give you an example that happens a lot, right? You're in a relationship with someone. It's an intimate relationship, regardless of what your sexuality is or your gender preference. Doesn't matter in this case. You're just with another human being and you have some love for them. They have some love for you. Things ain't really going right, right? And you're feeling that feeling of like, oh man, I might have to do something about this, right? Before you start doing anything, get curious, right? Because this is a moment where you're missing information. So you're probably feeling a lot of fear about that. And at the end of the day, you would just love to know, what does this actually mean? Is this something we should push through? Is this something that I need to walk away from? And there's a lot of fear surrounding that. Well, if you start with the intrapersonal and you can figure out, well, is this about me and how I feel about me and my relationship with me, or is it my relationship with them? That's a great foundation to start with, because your connection can either be intrapersonal, interpersonal, or both. And oftentimes in complex relationships, it is both. But having an understanding of what is going on with your connection with yourself before you start understanding your connection with somebody else is extremely healthy and one of the best ways to go if you want to be authentic about it. So when I think about my authentic connection and how fear disrupts that when it comes to love, it really is on an intrapersonal level and an interpersonal level, where one, it's affecting my relationship with myself, and on two, in the interpersonal level, it's affecting how I have my relationships with other people. And so what are the 3 steps that I can take to overcome my love fears? Again, whether you use curiosity or you use something else as a foundation for your fear framework, you can understand that the 3 steps of overcoming love fears is for you to localize the effects of those fears, confirm the source of those fears, and then choose how you want to handle the source of those fears. So if you want to have authentic connections with yourself and others, despite naturally occurring fear, and we talked about that last week, fear is naturally occurring. It's not like you can just sideswipe and dodge, move out of the way of fear. It's going to hit you. That's human. That's a part of humanity. It's a part of the human experience. You're going to feel fear, right? But at the end of the day, if you learn these 3 steps to overcoming love fears, you'll be able to do it. So let me model for you how you can use curiosity to complete these 3 steps, because I do want you to be able to create an actionable, safe space so that you can harness authentic connection in your intrapersonal and your interpersonal relationships when you're experiencing love fears. So let me tell you how this works, right? So you first want to localize the effects of the fears. I ask myself things like, Ebony, are your fears intrapersonal or are they interpersonal? Are they disrupting my love with myself and or my love with others? And this is really crucial. Like I explained earlier, that foundation really allows me to understand what am I really feeling, what's really going on. Because when your fears are not just about life and they involve love in a particular person or a particular group of people, like a set of family members, it gets really complicated because there's a lot of complex feelings that show up. And so really trying to localize the effects of those fears is usually easier than trying to focus on one fear at a time when it comes to love. And so localizing the effects of the fears, it's like, okay, well, how is this affecting me intrapersonally? And how is this affecting me interpersonally? So in that example I gave earlier, where it's like things just don't feel right, you don't really know what's going on. If you leverage curiosity and you start with the intrapersonal, it's like, well, first of all, how is this making you feel about yourself? And what does that tell you? Before you even start thinking about what does this mean about me and this person? What is all of this making me feel about me? And what about this am I ready to disclose to my partner? These are things that really come up when you start realizing this is the part that I can own. This is my shit, right? This is the part that I really have control over. Then there's the interpersonal side. That's the part of it that you cannot control, but you can address with someone through hopefully a harmonious, a hard conversation where you're able to sit down with them and say, listen, this is my truth. This is how I'm experiencing this. Can we talk about it? And hopefully you're in a healthy relationship where that communication is possible, right? And I know that that's quite the privilege. I hear from a lot of people on social media that they don't got that in their relationship. I have it in mine, but I think it's really healthy when you're able to do that. And so whether or not your fear is localized within the intrapersonal space or the interpersonal space, or it affects both spaces, it really allows allows you to know how you want to kind of tackle it, right? Then you can move on to the next step, which is for you to confirm the source of your fears. Again, you really want to start understanding, when did this disruption start, right? Like, your fears are disrupting your love with yourself and or others. So when did this disruption start? And it may have started to disrupt it with you intrapersonally before it started to disrupt what was going on with you and the other person. I find that that's what happens most of the time. There are times when the disruption starts interpersonally, and then it starts to make you feel a certain way about yourself, and it affects your relationship with yourself. So sometimes it can happen one way or the other. Let me shut this window. It's getting loud outside. City living. So that's part of it, is really getting a sense of, when did this disruption start, whether it was interpersonal, or both. Having a sense of when it started, so that you can understand what was going on at that time, what was going on with you, what was going on with them, what was going on with both of y'all at that time, so that you can have a sense of what was going on. And this also works in love relationships, like a group of friends, right? There's love there. What was going on with y'all at that time, right? Like, having a sense of what was happening. When did it start and what was happening is kind of the theme here tonight. And that will allow you to understand, what is the source of your fears and love. What is all, and you can get to a point where you understand, what does all of this tell you about love, about yourself, and about others. Your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, and what's going on with that right now. Having a sense of these things allows you to get to a point where you can go to step 3 and choose how to handle this source. Now you know what the source is, so how you finna handle it. And you can get to a place where you're like, all right, how can I apply what I've learned? What do I know about me? I know about them. I know when this disruption started. I know how this disruption is hitting for me. If you've had a conversation with your partner, you know how that disruption is hitting for them, right? And once you've applied what you've learned, you can figure out what you now know. And now that you know whatever it is that you now know, you can get to a place where you can say, what do I want to do about my relationship with myself and or my relationship with others? This is really important when you start thinking about, I'm feeling fear and love and I want to do something about it. Instead of it just hitting you and you getting through it and then something happening in the relationship and then you wondering, why? Was there anything I could have done? You'll never know unless you get curious. When that fear shows up, it's trying to tell you something. And I think that if you localize the effects of the fears, confirm the source of the fears, and choose how to handle the source, however you do that on your own, you will get to a place where you'll be able to handle your love fears. So this is what I'm suggesting today, and I'm sharing with everyone how to do that using curiosity, using your own curiosity, which is something you have the power over, you can control. It's something that you can pull out of your back pocket at any moment, no matter how down and out you are, you can get curious. And so I always want people to have that in their back pocket. But if there are other ways that you localize the effects of your fears, confirm the source of fears, and choose how to handle the source, or as I explained earlier, when it comes to life fears, if there's another way that you focus on one fear at a time and diagnose the effects of the fears and choose to iterate from learning, drop it in the comments. I'm sure that people who are watching my live stream would love to hear other points of views. I can only share what I know works for me. I don't believe in capping out here in these streets, so I'm only going to talk about what I know works and what I share with my clients when I'm on my platforms. But I definitely welcome other opportunities for people to get that healing. People who are like me are going to benefit from what I have to offer, but people who are like you are going to benefit from what you have to offer. So be authentically distinct. Drop a comment below and share with folks what you think about all of this, because at the end of the day, what I have to share is that I believe curiosity and love and life is all about focusing and localizing. That's the first step. You want to focus and localize, then you'll be able to diagnose and confirm. Super important, because if you don't, you're just working off of what you think. You're working off of an assumption, and that ain't gonna work out for you too well, okay? I don't want you doing that in your life. That's ashy. I want you to have the lotion, so I'm sharing that with you today. Make sure you focus and localize, then you can diagnose and confirm. And then the third step is for you to iterate and handle it. Handle your fears before they handle you, boo. You got this. You are bigger than your fears, because your fears are born of your vision, which you control. Okay? I want you to understand that. So I want you to start with that big vision you got and recognize fear is going to be naturally occurring. It's going to show up in life and love. And that all you got to do is focus and localize, diagnose and confirm, and then iterate and handle. And there's going to be a certain way that you do that. But if the steps I've shared with you today and the frameworks I've shared with you today are going to work for you, I want you to be able to have it. Feel free to check the link that I put in the chat, because that will allow you to be able to look at these slides after I'm gone, after this live stream. So what's the lotion? Make sure you learn from your fears. When they show up in life and love, they're here to tell you something. Just learn something from them. And the way that you do that is to focus and localize, like we talked about today in the live stream. Also, you want to make sure you get curious so that you can know. This is how you're going to be able to diagnose and confirm. That's what's happening when you're diagnosing and confirming. You're getting curious so that you can turn what you learn into what you now know. And when you activate what you know, this is when you can create change. And that's when you're going through that process of iterating and handling your fears. And that is my lotion for you, so that you can get away from the ashiness of just getting hit in the face with life and love fears and getting through it, and then wondering why life can't be and life can't do what you're looking for it to be and do, right? It's going to be and do what you put into it, and you have the opportunity to leverage what you can control, your curiosity, to get through fears that come up in life and love. So when you think about what I've shared with you today about how to leverage curiosity to overcome your fears in life and love, I would love to know what your takeaways are from today's discussion. Feel free to drop them in the chat. You can hit me up on social media through any of my private channels. You can send me an email at coach@ebonyogreen.com. I would look forward to hear what this and how, what you learned from this, what your thoughts are, whether you oppose or whether you agree, whether you've used it and it's worked for you. I would love to hear from you. I'm always here for an open conversation. And for coaches, I do have a little bit more for y'all, so y'all stick around. I don't want you to be out here ashy in these streets. And I'm going to share with you a little video clip from a recent podcast that I did that shares with you what I think is ashy out here about this industry that's oversaturated and why I call it an oversaturated industry. But if this video moves you and this sounds like something you are interested in being a part of, I would like to formally invite you to join me in my signature series of training programs that are designed specifically for coaches and healers who want to stand out in this oversaturated industry on their own terms. So let me play this clip for y'all so we can get into this. And I want y'all to be able to understand my take on this industry and why I've created my Unlock Your Expert Coach Academy for coaches and healers. But what I really love to see is that this industry starts moving towards coaches actually honoring and having reverence for the fact that coaching is a healing modality. How can you heal somebody on something you haven't healed within yourself? So that's like a crack addict or a heroin addict. If you haven't been one, how can you help them out of that situation? You can't. And so I work with and train coaches who are ready to come into this industry and disrupt it. They're ready to be respectfully rebellious to this industry and change it, to come in and say, listen, I actually have a whole solution, a whole blueprint, because I crawled out of this mud myself. And now that I'm doing well, I want to make sure that other people who are struggling with that same thing get this help in the way that only I can offer it because I've gotten out of it. And that's what makes you distinct as a coach. That's what makes it clear to people what they can get from you that they can't get from another coach. And I think that distinction is necessary in this oversaturated industry where everyone is calling themselves a coach and almost no one has a solution or can offer transformative healing. So all of my coaches that go through my Coach Academy, they get transformative healing. They can offer it because they've given it to themselves. So they know what that blueprint is. And they can be authentic as they're going through it. They're not just saying what other people have told them to say. They're not using some done-for-you package that they got from somebody else. Their offers, their method, their process comes from their lived experience. And that's what you want if you're a coach. That's how you know what to put in those slides, what to put on that website, and what to put, in those workbooks and worksheets. Otherwise, all you're doing is just rehashing what somebody else in this world has said, which is not transformative. And I said what I said. Well, it helps if I stop clicking on my mouse and my keyboard so I keep messing up the video. But y'all can go check out the whole segment and learn more about the Ratchet Sage. I'll put the link there to that video. That was, first of all, a really amazing conversation with the Ghetto Country Grandmother. I think most people who follow me know the Ghetto Country Grandmother is my brand strategist, and I absolutely adore working with her and seeing what she is helping me do with my brand and my business. Absolutely. true light, and you can learn so much from just watching that podcast and seeing us go back and forth about my brand and my business and where I'm taking it in 2023. So if you want to be nosy and learn more about where the Ratchet Sage is at and what I'm doing with my business and my brand, feel free to go check out that video, and you'll learn a little something. But that was just something I wanted to share with coaches to let y'all know why I invite you to join my Unlock Your Expert Coach Academy. And there's only a certain type of coach that I'm trying to invite to join me in that Coach Academy, because honestly, if you are not here to create transformative to do transformative work with your clients, that comes from your own lived experience. As I said in the clip, I don't really have that much respect for coaches who are not doing that within this industry. So I'm not out here trying to coach and train coaches and help you create a business if you're not going to be that type of coach. So if you're interested in finding out more about my 5 pillars of authentic coaching power model, and how I use that to help coaches develop their coaching business, I definitely encourage you to join my online course. It is up for pre-sale under the pre-sale launch price right now, and you can book your seat in that online course that's going to be launching in March of 2023. So I'm super excited about that. But for those of you who are like, no, I want to work with you live. I'm sure I want to be a coach. I don't want to just learn about this model and this method. I actually want to work with you to develop my own 5 pillars of authentic coaching power and to develop my coaching business. Well, you want my 4-week workshop. That's where I'm going to work with you one-on-one. You get a private experience with the Ratchet Sage for 4 weeks, where we help develop what your coaching specialty is. What is it about you that you're going to be able to use to help someone get out of the mud that you got out of? What's the blueprint that is born of your lived experience that you're going to use to coach people through their own transformations as they work with you? What is that specialty, and what is it that you're offering to this world, not just the coaching industry, but to this world that no one else can get from anyone else but you, right? And I want you to be clear in that when you get started developing your coaching business. And I want you to have a sense of what steps you take your clients through so that you can develop that transformation within them. So that's what I do within that 4-week workshop. And you get to work privately with me to unpack this and get clear in this for yourself. If you're even thinking about starting a coaching business, this is a great place to start. And there is an opportunity to get invited by private invitation into my 3-month intensive, where I have cohorts of no more than 5 coaches that I work with to develop their entire business model and framework. We go into their coaching niche, their coaching offers, who their clients are, their market, their client avatars. We talk about what your minimum viable offers and forward-facing client offers and high-end client offers. What are they going to be? What's your community going to look like if you're going to have one? We talk about all of those things and get you really, really clear on what your unique coaching style approach is and how you're going to offer the transformation that only you can offer as a coach. So if that sounds like something you're interested in learning about, join my Unlock Your Expert Coach Academy today. I'd love to have you, and let's get some shit done right now. I have 2 slots available in my private 4-week workshop experience. And so if you'd like to get one of those slots, make sure you reach out to me. And for those, and also in the first link that I posted at the beginning of this live stream, there is a button at the bottom of that link and all of the slides that does give you access to learning more about this Coach Academy. But for those of you who are not ready to take action or invest yet, in the same place, you'll find buttons for you to book a free consultation with me. You can always have a whole hour with the Ratchet Sage to discuss the best next steps for you, because I want you to get to an actionable, safe space for you and that big vision you've got, even if you're not ready to invest. And that's what I've got for y'all today. I really appreciate y'all rocking with the Ratchet Sage on this here Wednesday night. And I ask that you follow me on social media and help me beat these algorithms. I am at Authentic Distinction everywhere except for Twitter. That is where I am at True Distinction. I also am at True Distinction on YouTube. They're out here trying to silence Black, Autistic, and Ratchet, and I know y'all won't let them. So follow me today and help me beat these algorithms. And if you clip anything I've said today, please tag me accordingly for attribution and homage, because they also out here trying to steal ingenious, indigenous, innovative greatness, because they just don't know how to have their own actionable safe space. They haven't worked with the Ratchet Sage yet. They're ashy and stuck. It's not their fault. They haven't gotten their lotion. So help get them to an actionable safe space by sending them my way. And those are my bring your ass next steps for y'all. After all you've heard from me today, I know that you want to get a better hold on how you can use curiosity to create an actionable safe space so that you can deal with your life and your love fears. And if you wanted further support after our conversation today, I wanted you to know that I am here as a solution with the knowledge, strategy, resources, and tools to keep you in action that is born of your authentic agency. I will be live at my usual time of Wednesday at 8 p.m. in the same places on these social media streets, and I'll be talking about how you can grow. Oh, actually, I'll be talking about how you can leverage curiosity to handle your fears about your work, right? In terms of career and growing in business, right? We're going to be talking about that. And so come next week and we can unpack this. And don't forget to bring a work or a business bestie so y'all can come and learn this from the Ratchet Sage. This has been a great conversation today, and I thank y'all for being here with me live. And anyone who's caught the replay, y'all know what time it is. It's time for me to close out this live stream so we can get into my countdown. It is going to go like this. 5, I want you to stay open so that you can explore as you live. There is no exploration if you don't stay open, so I want to make sure you stay open. 4, make sure you prioritize choice so that you can navigate your life and your world. There is no navigation without choice, so make sure you prioritize it. And when you're prioritizing choice, I want you to 3, choose acceptance. That does not mean you accept everything that is happening to you. It means you accept that it is happening to you so that you can discern and decide what you're finna do about it, okay? And 2, I want you to encourage agency so that you can innovate when you're alone and with others. This world needs innovation. It's fucked up, okay? So if we want some change, we're gonna have to allow for innovation, and that innovation requires agency. So I want you to make sure you encourage your agency and their agency so we can get innovation from you and innovation from them. That's what's up. The world needs it. Let's get it popping. And last but not least, 1, I want you to value your desire. This means not their desire for you, not their desire for them, not their desire for something else. I want you to value your desire so that you can activate all the things that matter to you from the actionable safe spaces that I help you create using my signature method of desire choose act. So I really appreciate y'all rocking with me. I want you to want to say peace, love, harmony, and blessings to y'all. And I'm out. Stay authentic and be sure to bring your ass everywhere you go. And peace.